back. Previously, we dealt in detail the different classification of QT and various tools that comes under three individual heads. So let us discuss about the uses and application of QT in business and industry, its merit as well as demerits. Next one, scope of quantitative technique. By scope, it means what is the coverage of QT in various disciplines. Or in simple terms, we can say that how QT is applicable in different subjects. That is the concept of scope of QT. So areas where QT can be applied, that is the concept. So let us discuss various areas that can be used. First one, in the field of financing and how the financing uses the quantitative techniques. QT helps by analyzing and interpreting cash flow as well as capital budgeting. So before going into analysis and interpretation, what is the concept of cash flow and capital budgeting? Cash flow is a tool that is used in accounting to study the inflow as well as outflow of cash, and we will discuss that area in the next semester. And next, regarding capital budgeting, it is a method used in business which helps the management in taking decision regarding long-term investment or investment in fixed assets. So these two areas is of great importance in business as well as management, and QT helps the management in proper analysis and interpretation of these two areas, cash flow statement related aspects as well as capital budgeting aspects. Next one, purchasing. QT helps in purchasing activity related to ordering quantity and reorder level. Ordering quantity and reorder level is usually related with inventory, and we have learned that one of the tools that helps the management in decision making regarding is inventory control. And one of the tools under QT also includes inventory control. Under inventory control techniques, ordering quantity and reorder levels are two major areas that comes under the same category. And QT helps the organization in taking decision regarding ordering of quantity as well as reorder levels. Next one, manufacturing. QT helps the organization or a business in scheduling the production, allocation of resources. Because these two areas is of great importance in business, any miscalculation will lead to major issues. Production scheduling means production is an important area which should not be unaffected by various reasons or causes. And under production scheduling, the QT helps the organization or management in conducting an uninterrupted production operation within the business, because any interruption may lead to major issues. And regarding allocation of resources, because resources is the most important requirement within an organization, and since it is very scarce, the organization has to plan accordingly, and QT helps the organization in allocating the scarce available resources. Next one, marketing. QT helps the organization with regard to marketing by product selection, advertisement strategy, size of store, and product mix. Product selection is the organization might be dealing with different types of products, and which product has to be given more importance so that organization can earn maximum profit and at minimum cost. QT helps in deciding that. Advertisement strategy mainly related to search theory concept. QT helps the organization in selecting the best advertisement strategy so as to earn maximum profit, because advertisement is of a major issue within the organization, because for advertisement organization has to spend huge amount of funds, and by spending huge amount of funds the organization must get a certain considerable amount of return for the amount spent, and QT helps the organization in making the best strategy for advertisement. And next one, size of stock. This area that actually comes under the inventory control, means how much stock has to be maintained within the organization. Earlier we have discussed that area. And finally, product mix. I hope you all guys know what is the meaning of product mix. QT helps the organization in setting the best product mix. Next one, distribution. Distribution includes distribution policy on location and size of warehouses. One of the major issue that is faced by the organization is how to distribute the goods or services to the ultimate customers, because customers will be scattered all over the world. It's up to the business to select the best distribution policy depending upon the location of customers and where to set the warehouse and its size, because warehouse is a place where our final goods are stored, and the location of warehouse is of great importance, because improper planning of warehouses may lead to ultimate loss. And QT helps the organization in setting the best distribution policy so as to cover large number of customers and to select the best location and the size of warehouses so as to minimize cost and maximize profit. Next one, personnel management. Personnel management means relating to the employees within the organization. QT helps the organization in recruitment, assigning of job, and training and remuneration. Actually, these areas that is come under the staffing function of management. Still, QT helps the management in taking decision regarding the management of personnel. Next one, research and development. It is a recently evolved area, research and development. Every business concern having a research and development wing. For example, electronic gadgets company has a very elaborate R&D department. It is otherwise known as R&D or research and development. You can see that mobile phones or electronic gadgets is updated day by day. The technology issued today will not be the technology of tomorrow. It keeps on changing. The concept of vast change in the technology or development is due to the R&D department or research and development department of various concern. And QT helps the organization in setting up of best research and development in the areas of research, coordination of research projects. So the organization which is having the best R&D department will survive in the dynamic external business environment. And last, finally, socio-economic problem. Socio-economic problem means in what all socio-economic areas the quantitative techniques are used. Traffic, we have discussed that area. Fare structure of a public transportation. It is also a technique where QT is applicable. And finally, queuing problems, we have dealt these areas previously. So these are the areas in which QT can be applied. These are the only areas. It can be applied in almost all areas that is applicable or usable around the world. These are the major important areas in which QT is applicable. Still, it can be used or applied in almost a number of areas or situations for the best decision making. Next one, uses of quantitative techniques in business and industry. It includes almost all the points that comes under the scope of quantitative technique. Still, let us discuss some of the areas that comes under the same heading. QT of inventory control are useful in deciding when and how much items are to be purchased so as to maintain a balance between cost of holding and cost of ordering the inventory. We have dealt with the same area in detail in the previous slides, and how the QT can be applied in inventory as well as controlling the inventory. Next one, quantitative techniques helps in maintaining a balance between cost of holding and cost of ordering. Cost of holding means, earlier I have mentioned that piling up of stock is not good for the organization, because for maintaining that stock the organization has to spend certain amount of fund. So cost of holding will be high if improper management is maintained. And cost of ordering, when to order and excessive ordering is also an important area that has to be taken decision. Proper decisions are required in both areas, when to order and the cost of ordering. And QT helps the organization in maintaining balance between cost of holding as well as cost of ordering. Then only organization can effectively maintain inventory control. Next one, QT includes PERT and CPM. PERT means program evaluation and review technique, and CPM means critical path method. We have learned these two techniques under network programming. QT technique of PERT and CPM helps in determining the earliest and the latest time for the events and the activities of a project so as to enable the management for proper deployment of resources. We have discussed this network programming previously. So in order to deal with a project or an activity that requires considerable amount of time, we will be using the quantitative technique of PERT and CPM so as to complete the project within the stipulated time at a minimum cost. Next one, QT and linear program. We have discussed about linear program previously. Quantitative technique of linear program is used for optimal allocation of scarce resources in the problem of scheduling product mix. Earlier we have discussed the same area. Linear programming, main usage of linear program is the optimal allocation of scarce resources. How to identify the resources and how the resource can be allocated. Linear programming is the best solution for the business in taking decision regarding allocation of scarce resources. QT includes decision tree analysis and simulation technique. QT decision tree analysis and simulation help the management in taking the best possible course of action under the conditions of uncertainty and risk. Decision tree analysis is another technique that can be used by the management in taking decision. As the name suggests, decision tree means the decision that has to be taken. The entire activity of taking decision to the ultimate selection of decision includes a certain set of actions. The entire activities and actions are represented in a graph. Graph means in the form of a branch figure. I hope you all know what is meant by branch. And it is represented in a branch or a flowchart form, so that every decision has more than one outcome, and each outcome can be represented in branch form. And from each branch it will have some more than one alternative solutions or results, and it is also represented in the form of branch. So whenever this branch is fully represented in a graph or a picture, it resembles a tree. That is why it is known as decision tree. And once you present the entire decisions and its outcome in a graph or a picture, it is very easy to identify each outcome. Instead of remembering all these decisions and its outcome, if it is represented in a picture, it is very easy to understand what are the solutions that can be taken, or what are the decisions that can be taken, or what are the outcomes of particular decision. So it is known as decision tree analysis. And simulation technique, we have discussed about simulation previously, and QT provide the methods of decision tree and simulation to the business and industry for taking effective decisions. So finally we can say that QT helps the manager in selecting the best possible course of action. Next one, QT includes queuing theory. We have discussed about queuing theory previously. Queuing theory of quantitative technique is used to minimize the cost of waiting and servicing of the customers in a queue. We have discussed the same area in different situations. So let us go to the next one. QT and replacement theory. We have also discussed about this point previously. Replacement theory related to when to replace the asset. And replacing of asset is of great importance, and QT helps the management, or it helps or guide the management in taking decision as to replacement period of an equipment, when to replace the asset, so as to help the organization in achieving the maximum benefit of the replacement of the particular asset. So these are the various uses of QT in business and industry. So finally, let's come to the limitations of QT. Previously, we have been discussing about the concept of QT, its classification of QT, its application of QT in various areas of operation, and we also discussed in detail its application in business and industry. So no method in this world that can be considered as a perfect method. It also suffers from some of the issues, and let us discuss some of the limitations of QT. First one, QT requires expert knowledge and skill. Yes, it is exactly. It is a combination of various methods that require thorough knowledge about maths as well as skill for applying the mathematical technology. So quantitative techniques requires expert knowledge and skill. So as a business is concerned, hiring a person that requires expert knowledge and skill is a major issue, because identifying someone is a very difficult task, because the personnel will be very scarce, and even if you get a personnel, the thing is that you have to pay a huge amount of salary for his services. So QT requires expert knowledge and skill. That is an issue related to the subject. Next one, QT is very expensive, as I mentioned earlier. It includes various techniques that has to be implemented, and for implementation of each technique, the organization had to spend certain amount of amount. And apart from that, as we have mentioned earlier, it requires expert knowledge and skill. For hiring a expert, you have to pay a huge sum of money. So overall, we can say that quantitative techniques are very expensive. So it is not applicable in case of small and medium term business. Next one, quantitative technique does not consider qualitative facts. Yes, exactly. Quantitative techniques, as the name suggests, studies and consider only facts and figures. So we can't study qualitative aspects under quantitative techniques. That is another issue pertaining to this head. Next one, quantitative techniques are only a tool. Yes, they are only a tool of analysis, not a complete help in decision making pattern of the business. So we can't say that QT is the ultimate solution to the issues pertaining to a business. It is just a tool that helps the organization or management in decision making, and it is up to the decision making of the management based on the solutions offered by the QT. So it's up to the management's efficiency in selecting the best solution. QT is just a guide in helping the management in taking decision. It is not the ultimate solution. So we can say that it is only a tool, not an ultimate solution. So these are the major limitations of QT. And apart from that, try to identify some of the major issues relating to QT. And under this head we have almost covered all the tools and techniques, but apart from that, try to identify and include and add as many as points as you can, because they might ask essay question based on the areas which we have discussed until now. So apart from these slides, please consider information from other sources also. So let us discuss the further areas that comes under the same subject in the next sessions.